Welcome back to the Chad. I'm the Chad, and today we've got my Zephyrus G14. I've ran some Cinebench scores, and they're actually really high scores. Higher in a 70-degree room, they were higher than um, their Bauer scores were after he put liquid metal on his GPU and CPU. But that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show my Cinebench scores I just ran, and then we're going to take this thing apart, tear it down, put liquid metal on it, and then retest the Cinebench and see how it compares. Hopefully the room will be the exact same temperature. It was 70.0 when I first ran the scores, and like I said, they're really good. We'll take a look at them here. Um, and Yeah, let's see what happens. So I'm gonna film, the whole teardown and everything. I've already upgraded the RAM and the SSD, the NVMe. I thought about doing the Wi-Fi card, but I think I checked. I think it's already like Wi-Fi 6 AX. There's no point in upgrading. So, but some liquid metal, that would be about the last upgrade I can do on this thing. So, let's take a look at the scores I got now. Cinebench. Um, Cine, here we go. It's the multi-threaded Cinebench score, and I hope you can see that. Let's see. Hopefully, sorry if you can't, but see, it scored 4315, so pretty stinking good and multi-core, and the and this is what the max temperature was: 70 degrees, hit 64.6 watts. Um, on the package, all cores were 66.6. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what it was. And it was boosting up to 4391 megahertz. Multi-core, single threaded. We hit 490, which I think was a couple of points above Der Bauer's. I think it was 487 maybe, after the liquid metal. And then our max temperature was 70 or 64, 40.86 watts on the package. And the cores were 36, so lower on the cores this time. That makes sense. It's single core. Um, and 43.91 megahertz. So let's see if we can get that boost of 43.91 up higher. Maybe the temperature lower. If not, I don't care. If the temperature doesn't go lower and the boost goes higher, that's what I'm looking for. I don't really expect the temperatures to go much lower. So um, let's get into it. Okay. So I just got this new silicone mat for working on electronics and stuff. It's pretty nice. Um, Sorry about my squeaky chair for one, um, and just the audio quality. It's probably not fantastic. I'm just squeaky chair. Using the Sound Blaster Omni. I don't have my XLR mic hooked up. It's just a pain. I don't keep it hooked up all the time, and it's just a lot of extra wires and stuff. So I kind of like this Omni. The cool thing about this tray is I can separate all the screws. I can kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? I can organize them over here. So, and I think one of these screws in the bottom of this don't come out. So, I think it's the front one on the right here, but it could be the rear one. It's this front right one. Doesn't come out. You can't really see that on the camera, can you? Let's see. I think I'm going to spread these out a little bit to give me a better idea of the layout of these screws. I mean, I think the last time I took this thing apart, I just kind of threw the screws in there and remembered where they went. But now I've got a better way to organize them. So actually, no, I didn't. I remember what I did the last time. I laid out strips of tape and turned it upside down to where the sticky side was up, and then I stuck the screws in the same pattern on the tape. And then I was able to pull them off later. Whoops. I'm really liking this little screwdriver here. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks on Amazon. It's not supremely powerful, but it is powerful enough. And it's really strong. Like the motor in it locks, or the gears or whatever, they lock really well. So if the motor's not strong enough to loosen up a screw that you have, if you just don't press the button and just turn it, it works like a normal screwdriver pretty much. Let's see. So there's 4 of these. I wish that little screw holder was magnetic. Some of the trays on this thing are magnetic, but not the screw holder. They're all going to be knocked over before I'm done. And the bits in this screwdriver kit did not come very magnetized, but I've got this little magnetizer made by Klein. I use it for work and stuff, and you just kind of stick it in there. It makes it more magnetic. Okay, missed a screw here. It's not want to stand up. Okay, I've got every screw out except for the one that doesn't come out. And next step is to get a pick in there or something and pry it apart. So it starts to pop up on this corner already. So you just run a wedge through there. It pops open real easy. If I remember correctly, popping this back hinge part apart is maybe a bit tricky. No, not at all. Lifted right off. Okay, so that's off of there. All right, the next thing to do would be to disconnect the battery. That would be this plug right here. And you push the little metal clasp away from the plug, and then you just pull the plug off. Well, make a liar out of me, why don't you? Did I not take this plug out last time when I replaced the RAM? I used some of this OLOY RAM. I was looking at the rip jaws. Man, it's really hard to find a good set of 3200 laptop RAM. Just the single piece kit that with good timings. But let's see. I guess I'll Yeah, I'll pop this RAM out while I'm get it out of the way. While I'm trying to get this plug off here. See if I can get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. No and no. I'm gonna use a little piece of tape on it. Okay. So having myself some issues here. Let's see, nothing's sticking it down. I know I pulled this clasp back before, so pretty sure I took it apart. Oh, so easy. It lifts up. Gosh, I hate this chair. I cannot wait to get a new chair. Okay, so now there's no power. One thing I always like to do, go ahead and just stick the RAM back in. It's not going to be in the way while I'm working or anything. One thing I always like to do when I'm working on electronics, and especially electronics with a power supply, which this isn't going to have, but it has a battery. But there's capacitors and stuff. So I always like to hold the power button for a minute just to, get it to try to start itself and then discharge any capacitors that might be charged. So, and a lot of times you'll get a flash when you do that. So they definitely do stay charged. Okay, getting nothing. All right, should be dead. And I should have my grounding strap on. You know, I really like this laptop. A lot of times I don't worry about a grounding strap, but I almost feel like I should. I almost feel like I should, but I don't think I will. Okay, now I start taking out the screws to the heat sinks, and I'm wondering. A lot of times there's an order. And you take these out. Um, I know. I usually whenever you're tightening it down, you want to start in the middle. On something like this, you want to start in the middle and work your way out. So start on the outside and work my way in, I guess. All right, let's see if I can keep these screws organized. This is going to be the first time I'm having the heatsink off. So screw here, screw here. They all have arrows pointing to them. And that's pretty common inside electronics. As you're working your way down in layers, the screws that you're supposed to take out next, or the screws for certain components and stuff, will have an arrow on them pointing to them saying, hey, these are the screws you're supposed to take out to get this component off. Okay, what's left? No screws on the back of the heatsink. Man, there are so many fins on these fan blades. It's crazy that even works. Like, it doesn't look like it would even catch any air. Like the gap between the fan blades is so small. I'll give you a close up in a minute. Two. Uh-huh. Figured there would be something like this on here. So, there is a screw pattern stamped on the the brackets that hold down the heatsink. So it goes, you tighten down this 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. on that one, and on this, on the, would this be the CPU and this the GPU maybe? I do not see, oh, yeah I do, that's 5. That is an 8. Oh no, press hard. Actually, I'm going to use a different bit now because I don't want to strip the screw out. Okay, it looks like it takes a 2.5 Phillips. Got it. Can't wait till I break this mat in a little more and it lays a little bit flatter. Let's see if we can take off this tamper warranty sticker thing here without tearing it up. Nope, it broke instantly. Well, that sucks. How did it tear so easy? Man, whatever. I've got a little miniature heat gun back here. I could have used that and just peeled it right off. But I thought it was going to come right off. Has it been tampered with? All right. Now let me double check I have every screw out of this heatsink. I would assume so. I would assume so. So I don't know where to pry from really. What is this cable? Okay. Oh, that can stay plugged in, it looks like. So that's the screen cable, I think. Looks like I can just kind of keep it out of the way while I get the heatsink off here. Loosen it up here. Yeah, I should be able to stay. I should be this. That might either be the power button or the Wi-Fi. Looks like the Wi-Fi. So these wires are the Wi-Fi. Okay. So I should be able to work around that also. Now, so it looks like these little plugs here are, yeah, it says fan. So those should just push out. Don't want to pull on the wires on something that's delicate. You should just be able to push on the plug. Got that one. And I got that one. Okay. All right, so the fan connectors are loose. Okay, now let's pry out heatsink. It's really attached good to the motherboard. But it comes away. There we go. Okay, popped loose. Alright, there we go. So there is the bottom of the heatsink. And there is thermal paste on the memory and all the VRMs and everything. Like, not thermal pads. So that's really good. I mean, it's a good thermal solution. But we're about to make it a little bit better. One thing I'll add, if you're going to be putting liquid metal in a laptop or anything with bare copper, never put liquid metal on an aluminum heatsink. The, what is it? Gallium, I think. It doesn't say on here, but I think it's the gallium that's in the liquid metal. Will start eating through the aluminum instantly. Like, I seen a video of somebody on the internet, and it was not a parody. This guy was dead serious, and he was like, man, this liquid metal sucks. Look what it did to my heatsink after like just a month. This thing was running so hot. His heatsink and his processor were just ate up. It just looked awful. And he's like, why would they put out a product that would do this? You know, like, when you put liquid metal on aluminum, you see it start eating the aluminum as soon as you put it on there. So how that guy didn't notice the reaction before he put it all together, I have no clue. I don't know how it wasn't a parody, but it wasn't. This guy was serious. So we're going to clean this up. And then I'm going to, so right now there's this film around the dies. Probably to keep, I don't know if it's a heat sink material. Probably not. It's probably just to keep they might use, no, it shouldn't be conductive. But probably to keep the thermal paste off of like SMTs and stuff. But I've got this silicone conformal coating. Some people use a certain type of fingernail polish. This stuff works great. Just absolute wonders. Is it going to... MG Chemicals 422C? Yeah, it's not really gonna focus there, is it? Okay. And it dries pretty quick too. So let's start cleaning this stuff up. Let me grab some Q-tips. Keep this box here. It's got all of my my thermal paste type stuff in it. If I don't hurry up, it's going to be above 70 degrees in here whenever I do the next benchmarks. Sounds like the AC is about to kick on. The fan turned on already. Hopefully you can't hear it. I got it really cold so that hopefully it wouldn't take too long to warm up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn off this other computer so it's not putting out more heat in this room. It's pretty small, little office. Just hibernate. Okay. Get to cleaning. These Viva paper towels are pretty good for a lot of things. They're really tough. They don't leave a lot of fibers behind or anything. And you don't have to leave all these spick and span. I mean, I'm just going to be putting thermal paste back on, but it's not really a good idea to be mixing thermal paste. So, I want to get these as clean as possible so that it's all, what do I have? MX4 going back on. Tell you what, I hate this stuff though. I do a lot of plumbing in my job, and we have to work with pipe dope a lot, pipe thread compound, and it's a lot of the same consistency as thermal paste, and I hate that stuff too. It's like so thick and just smears. Hard to get off. And then this laptop's so new that this paste is still really wet. Like usually it dries out a little bit over time, and it's still really wet. Man, there's thermal paste on everything. I really hope I don't forget what had thermal paste on it and what doesn't. So far, these have had thermal paste. These have had thermal paste. These memory chips have had thermal paste, and then these four right here. This way. Hands. Where it's smeared all over everything. Man, have you guys noticed the hand sanitizer since COVID? Like they're not distilling it enough or something, and it all smells like yeast. Like even the good stuff, like Purell and stuff. I've had some hand sanitizer that smells really bad, just pure yeast. This stuff isn't terrible, but you get a hint of yeast from it still. Let's see. And I'll finish getting these little things. And I'll be cleaning the CPU and GPU dies off with alcohol. I'm not going to clean the rest of these components with alcohol. I'm not sure if alcohol is okay on them. I have used it on them before, but it was nerve wracking, especially these memory chips because they're not shiny. They feel kind of porous, and I don't know if the alcohol would soak into them. It seems like it because when you put alcohol on it, it doesn't just pull up. It like dries up real quick. I think a lot of it gets soaked in. So um, it's kind of scary putting alcohol on a memory chip. Last time I built up the nerve to do it. I know I like left it overnight to dry. I might even have like heated up the memory chips a little bit. Okay. Top surfaces are all pretty good. Now time to clean off the dies. This is the CPU die. What I usually do, and it depends on how hard the thermal paste has gotten. Really old hard thermal paste, I usually use this pick that I got in a right here. uh, Dang it, right here. It came with this like precision screwdriver kit, and I use that to scrape the thermal paste off, like so. And then just kind of wipe it in the paper towel. And that's a lot less folds of the paper towel, a lot less mess you get that way usually. Okay. Then a couple times use coffee filters because they don't leave fibers either really. And then just kind of polish up the die. And I'll do this after I've got the thermal paste off. I'll do it after I use alcohol. Peel this off so that I can get in there with my silicone conformal coating. If I can get them off. Dear Bauer made it look so easy. There are SMTs under there, so I don't want to pry too hard. It looks like there might be like a dab of silicone on the edge to hold it in. Maybe. I've almost got it. Just like a millimeter from the edge, and then I should be able to get it the rest of the way really easily. Pretty gentle. I don't want to tear this up, and I know what's under it. And I want to make sure this isn't multi-layered and I'm only tearing off one layer. Nope. Okay, it's just PCB underneath it. Should be able to peel the rest up. Yep. Just be careful not to rip it. Okay. There's the GPU cover and CPU. See if I can. This little pick thing used to be really nice when it was new, but I've used it so much the ends are really dull and chipped and not sharp anymore. I have a couple of pick sets. This is probably stupid. Don't try this at home. Metal pick. Uh, so stupid. But I just want to get it. Just want to get it just under the edge. Sorry if it's loud. Point the microphone at me a little bit better. I know it's not very good anyways. Okay. Yeah, that worked. I was able to get under there with surgical precision with this thing. Okay. Well, if you're careful, I think you can try it at home. Okay. Now in this instance, usually I don't try that hard to get all of the stupid chair old thermal paste from around the edge of the die. But since I'm going to be putting this conformal coating on, I want that coating to seal from the PCB all the way up to the die and not be able to let any liquid metal in if it were to spill out. So, and these SMTs are super close to the die, so if it spills out, like it's toast. So, but I should be fine with the conformal coating as long as I get it clean before I apply it. It really sucks when it gets in between the SMTs. It's so hard to dig it out of there. And you gotta be really careful around them. They're just tiny little things started on the surface there that'll pop off really easily. Luckily, this paste around the GPU and the CPU is a little bit hardened because it's gotten so hot. Or not so hot, but hotter than the rest of the components, obviously. This side sucks. There's a lot of little transistors and there's heat paste, thermal paste between every one almost. And this stuff's not very sharp anymore. Take a metal pick to it. Call me crazy. I feel like if I very gently let it glide without putting any pressure on it, might be able to get that cleaned out of there just with alcohol, but there's a good chance probably not all of it, honestly. So that's why I'm doing this. And if I felt for a second that I was gonna scratch the PCB or hook one of those SMTs, I would stop and not do it at all. I just use a lot of alcohol. But so far, I feel like I'm being pretty gentle. Maybe I'll pause the video for this, because it's kind of tedious, and I doubt it's very fun to watch. And if I have a disaster and pop one off, I'll start the video right back up and let you know I ruined my laptop. I'll be back. What I ended up doing was just taking my Dremel to this and filing it down a little better and getting in there with that. So now I'm gonna take the alcohol wipes to it. Um, done so many of these, forgetting that I've got a whole box full of alcohol wipes. Usually I'll just like pour alcohol on there or use alcohol and Q-tip. But these alcohol wipes were pretty good. I'll probably still end up using some alcohol and a Q-tip, um, especially since I have to get in between those SMTs and over on the PCB. But if you're just cleaning a die, an alcohol pad works really well. Right now, going around the outside of the die, the alcohol pad. It looks like I got the CPU die cleaned really well. Okay, GPU die. You do have to be careful with these wipes though on the when you're working around these SMTs, because since it is a fabric, it can, like these SMTs, they're kind of sharp and it can catch, and you can pop one of those right off if you're not careful. I haven't had it happen to me. I try to be pretty careful, but I know it can happen. And the more I do this stuff, the more likely it's bound to happen eventually. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna get so good at it that it just can't happen. I mean, I'm not doing it all day, every day. And, your propensity to get a little more sloppy with something the more you have done it without an accident. And I don't think I'm gonna have to use any liquid alcohol. Looks like I'm getting it pretty darn good like this. Not absolutely perfect, but very close. I almost got every single bit of it. I want to make sure I get this um, substrate really well too. It's got kind of an adhesive on it from where that sticky border stuff was on there. Um, yeah, I would say I'm just about happy with that. Yeah, squeeze a little alcohol out onto it. And then kind of let that soak in, soften that up. So the alcohol, it'll do a really good job softening up the thermal paste. There's a big chunk of fibers from this thing. Most of them one more alcohol pad, I guess. Better to be safe than sorry. Some teas where there's still a little bit of thermal paste stuck in there. And let's see. Yeah, I could certainly live with that. I didn't get 100% of it out of there, but most of it. I'd say that conformal coating will probably form a coating over top of whatever thermal paste is still left there. Okay. Get that alcohol residue off, any fibers from the alcohol pads. Go until it's like completely shiny. It's like there's no film left on there. Okay. Might not have to be this tedious about it, honestly, but I like this laptop and it wasn't cheap. And if I make a mistake, pretty much the whole laptop's done for, not just, whatever component I'm messing with. Not just the motherboard or the CPU or the GPU, everything. This die. Almost good enough. Yeah, things aren't perfect. It can be really hard to get liquid metal to stick. Sorry, this will probably be loud. Now time for the conformal coating. First, I'm going to get some alcohol ready. Let's see, isopropyl or ethyl? What am I going with this time? Let's do isopropyl. Things will start moving a little quickly now. While the conformal coating is drying, I will pause the video until it's dry and then I'll come back. The reason I'm getting this alcohol ready is it's not a big deal. It's not something you need to know. But if you're doing what I'm doing, it is because this coating dries very quickly, and that jar of conformal coating only came with 2 brushes. So I want to preserve the brushes. So immediately after I wipe it on, I dab the stuff into the alcohol to keep it from hardening. Clean it off. So, I'm wondering if I should swap cameras here. Make this one big. And make this one small. Probably not a good idea because it's not super high resolution there, is it? You can see what I'm doing. A couple really light coats. Not to drop it on the die. Just make sure you cover the SMTs completely. And do not hit the die, or else you'll probably have to sand it off. I mean, I don't know, if you hit it with alcohol soon enough, it might be okay. But and there's kind of two methods with this. You can get it on. You can have it thick enough on the brush that you can kind of just dab down little puddles right over top of the electrical components, or you can brush it on thin coats. And if you're going to brush it on with thin coats, I would probably do more than one coat. But these little puddles seem to work pretty good. You know, if there's a little puddle built up around it, probably nothing's going to get to it. Okay. So that's the CPU. Kind of just want to make sure this whole substrate. Ooh boy. Okay, it's starting to harden. Really want to get some more on this side over here. Get it a little bit closer to the die, but it's starting to harden up. So I'm just gonna leave it like it is. I might come back and hit another dot on it later once it's set up. It doesn't really take that long. Enjoyable without hearing my voice, honestly, but trying to focus. I don't want to spill anything or make a mess or anything. Push it on the rest of the substrate. think that's good. Everything looks very covered. Hit it with a brighter light real quick. Try to do. Yeah. Yeah, there's no liquid metal getting to any of that stuff. Okay, good. Put the cap on before I make a mess. Clean. Yeah, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just dipping the brush down in the cap of alcohol. It'll start coming off the brush and it'll coop up in there. You just gotta try to just keep working it, work the goop off. Splash it on. Don't want to splash on the board. Okay, that's a lot of the goop. A little bit more in there. Get the rest out, I think. Kind of fan the brush out in there. Push it in, twist it around. Open up the bristles a little bit. Yeah, it's all just like starting to sling off of there. It's like all binding to each other, but like off of the brush, so it's nice. Make sure all the bristles open up on the end without anything in there. This right here. Making sure they open up. There's no goop. Okay. That's good. Done with the conformal coating. I'm not going to do a second coat. Bobby. More tape, please. Okay, putting it back away. And putting this pick away. Not going to need that anymore. Start with the liquid metal now. Done all the alcohol swabs. Let's see, do I want to put on the liquid metal first or sorry, I was cleaning the goop out of the cap. I don't know if I want to put on the liquid metal first or the regular thermal paste. Let me think about that for a sec. think I'll put on the regular thermal paste first. It's a good idea not to clean this off yet. Whoa, right there. That way I can see exactly what had the paste on it and what didn't. Gonna set that right there for reference. And I think I remember everything, but I want to be certain. So here, way too much. Dots, lot, not lots. My old art teacher used to say in elementary school. When applying glue, not thermal paste, that is. Okay. Now I'm gonna spread it a little bit, kind of flatten it out. One of these little spatulas. Nice and evenly. Okay, those are good. Now these little tiny things. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to spread these. And it seems like there's actually quite a bit of thermal paste from the factory. Dang, that's a lot. That won't quit gooping off. Okay. Hey, good news, the air conditioner turned off. Okay. And then, let's see, all of the memory chips. I need a little more on this one. Okay. I've got these four. There. There. You know, really, you can never use too much thermal paste, so. There. And with something like this, or like with bare dyes, you just want to make sure you cover the entire thing. If it's a little extra and it goes over the side, so what? It doesn't hurt anything. I mean, back in the day, maybe when more thermal paste was conductive. Okay. But MX4 isn't conductive. I almost positive. Sure as hell hope it's not, or else this board will be fried. Spreading it to try to get it, trying to get it even, but that's not much of the purpose. I just want to make sure it covers the entire surface. Just dump this back out of the trash. Sue me. Okay, just gonna run it across the top here. This will kind of even it all out. Good. Okay. Now the memory chips. See, I really want to go this direction with it. Or do I? Eh, this will work. Okay. I will pause the video while I finish this because it's also tedious and I'm sure annoying to watch. Okay. I got all that spread out nice and neat. I went ahead and started cleaning off the heatsink. One thing I do want to add is that when you're using liquid metal, first off, a warning, don't even try to use liquid metal on any of this. Only on the bare dies and copper or nickel plated copper. Um, also wanted to add that whenever you're applying liquid metal, you're going to apply it to both surfaces that are being mated. So you're going to apply it to the dies and to the copper, and you want to apply it to only the area where the die is. So one thing I like to do, see on this for the GPU, there's little marks on the corners that show the right where the die is. The CPU doesn't have something like that, and most of the time you don't have anything like that. So what I'll do usually whenever you can still see the outline of the die, is I'll take my knife and I'll carve it right along the edge there. Not real deep, not a big gouge, but if you just run it across there, you'll see it. So, I'll do that before I finish cleaning it up all the way. But yeah, I'm gonna finish cleaning it, and then I'll be back. Now, while you do want marks, where the die is on your heatsink, the I was wrong about the CPU die. It's raised up, so they're not marks there. The actual part there is raised up, so I just have to get the liquid metal on that. And there's something else I was thinking while I get this liquid metal ready, being very careful, because I haven't made a big mess with it before. I would imagine that the heatsink, for somebody who doesn't want to, who's just going to liquid metal their laptop, and you're only going to use this once, and you don't have a whole bunch of different types of heat paste laying around. I would imagine you could get away with probably reusing the thermal paste that was um, already on this laptop. And uh-oh, I lost one of those little square things that go around this die. I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, it was still fresh enough that I think you could have just wiped it off of one side probably because with the regular thermal paste you only want to apply it to one side and then just spread it back out. I think it would have been okay, and you wouldn't have to buy more thermal paste, just the liquid metal. Um, okay, you got to be ever so careful pouring this out. Uh-oh, okay. I thought this thing was empty. Okay, now let's see here. Where can I put this where you can see it? Okay, you're not going to see me spreading it on the heatsink because I have to move the camera and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to pause while I do the heatsink and I'll come back and show you me doing the CPU and GPU dies. Okay, got the heat sinks done, and it just takes a very thin coating where it just looks shiny. And I don't know if I said this before, but when you're applying liquid metal to bare copper, you are going to have to reapply it within a couple months, probably. I've heard some people go in like a year, but at that point, I mean, the stuff might your heat sink and CPU or GPU might stick together by then. What happens is that oh yeah, I think I said the gallium forms an alloy with the bare copper. So when it's nickel plated, so when it's like a shiny, not aluminum, but a shiny heat sink like the bottom of, I don't know. I have got something around here, but I'd have to unbox it probably. Um, when the bottom's shiny, like the die here, if it looks like that, you won't have to reapply it at least for a long, long time. But if it's copper, you will have to reapply it. And sometimes you can do it after like a couple weeks. It's probably best to wait at least a month, honestly. Okay. And sometimes liquid metal can be really hard to spread. Like you keep trying to spread it and it'll just like keep pulling back what you've already went over. And in that case, just keep going over at the same spot like fairly quickly and eventually it'll spread. What you don't want to do is keep adding more and more because you don't want it to start pulling up on there. So like right now it's not really spreading super well, but not terribly. There might still be like a tad bit of a film on there from where I cleaned it with those alcohol pads. I don't know what percentage those alcohol pads are. Yes, it was a lot easier to do that bare copper, which a lot of times bare copper can be the biggest pain. But I just buffed it with some fine steel wool before I put the liquid metal on, and it went on real nice. But this is spreading. It's spreading fine. It's not the easiest ever, but it's going. And I have found sometimes whenever it's not spreading super well like this, like you have to go over a spot multiple times to get it to stick, it's a good idea to go over everything again. Because sometimes you just by luck like get it to like kind of lay on top of whatever's there, but not really like stick to the nickel on the die. So kind of just go over everything again until it's sticking really well. This is actually probably a little bit light of a coating. I could honestly probably put a little bit more on here. I don't think this is enough. But it's been enough to create a film over the whole thing. Another thing you can do if it's not filling in certain places is dab it. And then it'll like fill in real well wherever you dab it. Okay. What's that sound? I think I accidentally just kicked on this other computer that's going through the same speakers as this one. Yeah, I did. Looks like yep, it's coming on. That was weird. I feel like it's really not gonna want to stick to this CPU die. Alright, let me kill this real quick. It's annoying. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone, but if you can, it's gonna be super annoying. Okay. And the temperature is just about to hit 70, so looks like we might be at the exact same temperatures once we get this back together. It's just about time to get it back together. Spread over everything again. You want to completely cover it from edge to edge. But don't let it go over the edge. Okay. And one thing I'll pretty much always do, if there's like any excess at all whatsoever on there, just kind of drag it from the outside edges in. That way I know if there's any excess, it's in the center. Right now, just kind of dab up any excess that's on there and move it over to this other one that's where it's kind of light. Okay. All right. So we're liquid metalled up. Yeah, I usually don't get the 1 gram tubes of liquid metal, but the last one I got, I ended up spilling a whole lot Not on any electronics, luckily. Squirted all over the place, everywhere else. So, so this time I just got a gram. That way, if I screw it up, I don't make a mess. It's squirted everywhere. I don't lose so much of it. Okay, it's time to put the heatsink back on. Okay, so just double check everything. Yep, I put the conformal coating on the SMTs. I've completely spread the liquid metal on both dies. Spread the liquid metal on the cold plates, and like I was saying, spread it from the outside edges in toward the center. That way, if there's any buildup extra, it's going to be right in the center, not on the edge, or if you push it down, it squirts out the edge, you know. It'll evenly flow, hopefully. That's the idea. So, alright, let's do this. Is this under or over? We're going to go with over. Okay, and then we've got to make sure we line all this up perfectly because kind of got one shot to set it down. Okay. What am I hitting on over here? Don't let it touch until you're ready to set it all the way down. There it is. The wires are in the way. Okay. Now we're going to go in the order that it said to tighten them. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's grab one of these screws here. Where's one? One. I'm not going to tighten any of them up completely. I don't do that ever. I mean, I will, just not yet. I'm going to start all of them first and kind of work my way around. 2, 3, 4, 5, would be this one. 6. It's probably this one. Yep. 6. It's going to be 7. Yep. 8. And I shouldn't really be putting any pressure on the die yet. Okay, now go back to 1. Tighten it up all the way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pick up 6. 7. And 8. Okay, now just go back and just double check them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, none of them really turned. Okay, now back up the fan plugs. Oh no, gonna finish putting the screws in the heatsink. So we've got two more on the outside of each one. And all my screws to hold in the bottom part of the shell, they went all over the place. Put that one in. This is tight. I need to get me some small, like, hard plastic tweezers. Dang. This one's tough. There it is. Got it. Okay. Then get the other long cables back where they go. The ones that run through the outside of the heatsink. Channel. Start sticking her down. Okay. All right. One more. One for the Wi-Fi. And cool. Oh man. Forgot to put these shields back down. And I know why they have to be there. So that because those SMTs stick up a little bit, so that the metal from the heatsink doesn't hit them. Because bare die. I have to take this back off. Should I take it off or should I risk it? Didn't take that long. I'm gonna have to respread the liquid metal and all the other thermal paste. They're there for a reason, right? I'm gonna check something out. Be right back. Okay, I'm back, and Der Bauer didn't replace those. He just went over his SMTs with nail polish. I use the silicone conformal coating, so hopefully, hopefully that's good enough. He really laid that nail polish on thick, but I put the conformal coating on pretty thick too. But that is not really the point of it, you know. I wasn't afraid of it shorting against copper, and that's not what I was trying to avoid. I was trying to avoid any liquid metal from spilling on it. So if I would have thought it touched copper, I would have made sure I build up on the top of it more instead of making sure it was all in the side so it doesn't seep up under it. But Um, I knew there'd be some kind of mistake like this where I'd have to tear it apart and redo it. And to tell you the truth, I'm not going to right now. When I reapply it, I'll probably put it back on, but I'm not taking it back apart right now. Looks like it's time to, yeah, plug back in the battery. Remember, it pushes down and then the metal clip slides over. Okay. All right. I can remove this tape now, but I think I'm gonna keep it so that it holds that flap down better. All right, it's time to put the top back on, and then we're about to fire it up. Do another couple runs of Cinebench. Okay. All right. Clicked in. And it looks like it was all long screws. Some of them had yellow thread lock and some have blue thread lock. Hope that doesn't matter. Let's see, how would this have went? I don't see why it matters. It looks like just the short screws went in the front, so. Let's put it back together. As many times as I've done this, it's nerve-wracking every single time. And I've had times where I had bad liquid metal applications, like not enough, and it formed worse of a, heat transfer media. So that's always something to worry about. And I did put it on a little thinner this time than I normally would, just because for one, like I said, it's in a laptop, and if I screw up anything, it's screwed up everything. And for two, I like this laptop. I don't want to ruin my $1,000+ laptop, even if I got two for the price of one and a $50 discount. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And got a $50. Oh yeah, I said that $50 discount rebate. Sure hope that short screw wasn't supposed to go there. No, it wasn't. They go on the front. Oh, but also it's a laptop, and it gets tossed around and moved and stuff more than a desktop. So, um, yeah, it that liquid metal could move around in there. It won't, but there's more of a likelihood of it doing it in a laptop than in a desktop where it just stands still all the time. You want to make sure all these are pretty tight. I mean, you don't want to round them out or crack anything, but the bottom of this does act as a heat transfer, like a heat spreader. So you want good contact. Okay. Whew. Time to fire it up and let's see. Switch scenes here. That's not the scene. Oh, I already had this scene. Switching this back. Okay. Wish me luck. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way where you can see this. Well, that didn't help. All right. All right. And what's the temperature in here? 70.3. So it's warmed up 0.3 of a degree. I can't see that making much, if any, of a difference really. And yeah, I am going to run some benchmarks here and then we'll take a look. Sorry, I know that had to have been very loud. Sorry. Okay, so this is really weird. I haven't screenshotted the results for you yet. I think I'm going to take it back apart and check something out. I'm not sure. So twice now, the CPU fan has just shut off on me. Like I've got it set to run full blast when I'm benchmarking. And it's just shut off for a few seconds and then ramped back up to full speed. So it hasn't done it while I was in the middle of doing something, just while it was idling and when the temperature was down really low. So I wonder if it'll do that if the temperature drops too low. Because this is dropping pretty low, like 27, I think. What's the lowest temperature? 27 degrees C. 79 Fahrenheit. So an 8-9 degree delta T from the ambient. And then some weird results and not very expected results. My so the boost clock didn't get any higher at all. It stayed at 4391, which is what Der Bauer was getting before he liquid metaled his. But then he was getting up to like 44, 45, 46 megahertz, 100 megahertz. So I don't know if it's PBO isn't working. I don't know. I'm gonna mess around with some fittings or settings. I wonder if I have something set up to where it won't go past that. Like, I wonder if there's an option for that in the BIOS or something. So that's one thing that was weird. It did seem like it was maintaining the boost clock longer. Like it would hold it for a few seconds and then switch to another core and hold it for a few seconds. But my single core score dropped by a few points. It was, let's see, what was it again? Wait. Single thread. It was 490, which Der Bauer got 478 af 487 after liquid metal. And 9900K is 493. So that's pretty good. Mine was 490 before liquid metal. Now it's 486. So 1 point under Der Bauer's after he liquid metaled his. Still quite a bit higher than before he liquid metaled his. It was 478. So that's weird. I wonder if the 0.3 degree, 0.4 degree difference in temperature did that. But if that's the case, I mean the liquid metal's not doing anything except the multi-core score. I had a multi-core score of 4315. Der Bauer got 43. Wait, was that? That was before, yeah, 4315, which was way higher than DeBauer had before liquid metal. His was 4120, and then after liquid metal it was 4342. So I was close to his liquid metal temperatures before adding liquid metal, and it went up to 4370. So that's really good. That's really good. Temperatures looked awesome. The highest temperature on single thread was like 55, and multi-threaded is 59. Before single threaded, the highest temperature was 64, so it's 9 degrees difference. And multi-threaded was 73, so that's 14 degrees difference. So the temperatures got a lot lower, so it should be boosting higher or boosting longer. It doesn't seem to be doing that. Um, Maybe longer. Maybe it's holding the boost on more cores for longer. That's why the single thread was higher. But um, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that conformal coating is not all the way dry. I think it is. Um, I wonder if the copper is touching an SMT. I wonder if some of the liquid metal spilled out. I wonder if my fan header is not plugged in good, and like a sensor's off. I wonder if these little films that went around the dies are there for a reason. Like I wonder if it transfers heat from the cold plate to the substrate or vice versa. But maybe that's how the CPU measures its temperature, or I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But I think I might take it back apart because this doesn't quite make sense to me. I mean, the multi-threaded is higher. Single thread's lower though. That makes no sense. I mean, the temperature was right now is 9 degrees colder. It's not boosting any higher. So I will end this video. I'll try to mess with it some, and then I'll give you an update if I figure out what was going on, if I get any different results. All right. If you stayed till the end, I'm sorry it was so long, but you know it kind of takes a while to tear apart liquid metal laptop. You know, 2 hours maybe was longer than it should have been, but you know, whatever. You can skip through it if you want. I mean, I guess the end of the video. If you watched it, you watched it. So, thank you for watching.